know what it is. Black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
You know who it is. Black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Ode, Maurice, Ode, Maurice.
Maurice, Ode, Maurice, Ode.
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Hey, oh.
Yes, Mo?
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy. It's the Black and Snurdy podcast with Ode and Maurice.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Black and Snurdy podcast. I'm your host, Odie.
And I'm that other host, Maurice.
And here is where snurds of a feather flock together.
Caw, caw, caw. I'm never going to not do that. I don't understand.
You know,
the surprise.
Every time you do that, it reminds me of, what is it? Schitt's Creek?
Mm-hmm.
Because of Moira's Crow episode of her filming the movie, and that's what it reminds me of every time.
Yeah, I mean her entire arc of the recording the crows, you know, and
yes, I mean, Maurice, how could you not?
Is this your Mora? This is your Mora?
The dalliances of such a refined lady.
There's only one. First off, that fell apart immediately at the end. There's only one word. All you have to do is just say bye-bye.
It's true. That's her catchphrase. We should put cause, or I don't know what sound crows make, but maybe it's caw-caw. We should put that in the beginning right after, so that you don't have to say it each time.
But I like saying it every single time. You know, to quote the Raven, always do more from. I'm from Baltimore. Anyhow, I feel like we should just get away from all of those bad accents of birds and Moiras and slide right into the news that you can use. So hit us with that news, Odie.
Well, there were some interesting things that happened this week. Mm-hmm. Number one, the United Negro College Fund has its first, and I'm saying this again, first Black leader or chair of the board of directors.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations to him.
And his name is Milton H. Jones Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He's an Atlanta business and civic leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so you know, the United Negro College Fund has been around since 1944.
Right.
So every chair has been a white man, maybe a woman. I don't think I saw any women on the board. But
right.
Yeah, that was very surprising to me. Like, they have other like high level positions like that look over the places they're going to be sending money, and the HBCU leaders are all Black, but this is the first actual chair, which is just, I find that very interesting.
I mean, it's great that he was the first one. I gotta imagine that everybody else who was like maybe like number two for like all of this time had to be like cutting eyes at the head chair like every single year, especially at like the bruncheons and
at the luncheons.
At the luncheons. Yes, apparently brunch only just became a thing last 20 years. But yeah, just at like the Christmas parties and everything like that, just like this, you know.
It's just honestly baffling. I mean, like, you know, a lot of HBCUs, HU, you know, did have white presidents, and like on the trustees, there have been white people that led it. But like after a certain point, I feel like by the 70s, I want to say all HBCUs, from my knowledge, had Black presidents. So it's just odd that like there was a recent chair who was a chair 11 years ago. So in 2010, they couldn't have picked a Black person. They didn't say, hey, maybe this is the right time. I don't know. It's weird.
Now, and of course, this isn't going to be like a situation where like, and I don't want to throw any salt on Milton's name. Like, it's great that he's in this position. We're not going to later find out that like it's going to be like one of those situations, just like with what's her girl's name, who later turns out, actually they were white too.
Oh yes, Rachel Dolezal, who has been saying that she hasn't been able to get a job for the last like year, so maybe she's really feeling how it is to be a Black woman. You know,
boy oh boy, wasn't gonna make that joke. I feel like that's not a joke for me to make.
Well, you know, it's hard out here. You put out resumes all the time, and all they have to do is see your name or look at your LinkedIn and see you got braids, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know if we're gonna go another way. So hey, she's getting the full Black experience.
Indeed.com.
But some good news is I'm reading this one because of them. We can. A 12-year-old, Alena, I think it's Alena, Alena Wicker, is going to be beginning Arizona State University. I believe it's this coming fall, and she said she wants to be an engineer at NASA.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Right, 12 years old. I can't imagine at 12 years old doing anything. She her mom's name is Daphne McCorder, and she's a doctor. And she said that when she was 4 years old, she said, I'm going to work at NASA, and that her daughter had a gift with numbers and Legos and science. So her mom just started nurturing that gift, and now this little prodigy is going off to do great things. I mean, I can't even imagine working at NASA at 30 something. So the fact that she has that dream, it's like, that's amazing.
Shout out to all the little Black girls out there in STEM fields, okay?
Yes,
we need more. We need
do.
more of them. And we need more stories like this. Boy, oh boy, I want to give credit to whoever wrote this article, because they're just bringing so many of these stories to the forefront, and we need to have more positive stories like this. So and shout out to that writer, whomever they are.
The writer's name is Veracity Savant. She is a writer in the DMV area. So shout out to her. And again, it's on Because of Them We Can. You can look that up and read up more on the story.
Fantastic.
So now on to some not so great news.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, there seems to be like some infighting, or I won't even know if it's really infighting, but basically Samaria Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice, if you remember, the 12-year-old who was killed in Cleveland in 2014.
One of the many, many, many names that unfortunately will always be etched in my brain. Yes, I do remember.
And just if you need a reminder, he was 12 in a park. And in 2014, a white officer shot him when he was playing on the playground with a toy gun, because some white person called the police and said, oh, someone has a gun in the park. And they just literally, it was like seconds after. But after the Grammys this past Sunday, that featured a performance by Lil Baby, and it was like this Black Lives Matter kind of recreation of like police brutality,
right? And
Tamika Mallory, who is the head of Until Freedom, she did this whole like spoken word snap piece like in the middle of it,
right?
And people were like, oh, it was amazing, and it was fire, da 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 da. And Samaria Rice's mother, she made
Tamir Rice's mother.
I'm sorry, Tamir Rice. Thank you. Tamir Rice's mother, Samaria Rice, wrote on her Facebook and her IG a lot of very angry tweets. But I'll just say a part of it was, "You Black Lives Matter bitches are riding these families' backs. Y'all have fucked up our fight." And she basically said that she was tired of Tamika Mallory, Ben Crump, Lee Merrick, like all Black Lives Matter, and like she basically capitalizing off her son. Also, another mother, oh man, I just lost her name. The Rich Risher, I believe his name was, who died in Lisa Simpson. She was the mother of 18-year-old Richard Risher, who was shot by LAPD officers in 2016. They put a joint statement out, and they said, we don't need y'all parading in the streets, accumulating donations, platforms, movie deals, etc., off the deaths of our loved ones, while the families and communities are left broken. And they just called them all out. And apparently I read in some tweets that Lisa Simpson is, and this might be actually in the full statement that we'll provide in the notes, but she has apparently, and I believe Tamir Rice's mother, Samira, have been experiencing homelessness. And allegedly, Lisa Simpson never got the money that Black Lives Matter said they were going to give to her for her son's funeral.
Mm.
So there's been a lot of, kind of, I don't want to call it shady, but just unfortunate conversation about Black Lives Matter recently. Ever since they posted out that they've made like $90 million, people have been like, where's the money going? And just kind of calling them out. But one thing that I didn't like from this situation is that Sean King, if you don't know him, he
Talcum X.
Talcum X. Yes. Well, he decided that he wanted to just dip his toe as if it needed to be dipped, but he wanted to dip his toe in the controversy. He wrote this whole long statement on the North Star, which is a play on his newspaper, which is a play off of Frederick Douglass's newspaper, which I think had the same name. But I'll just read you a snippet of what he wrote. Ultimately, what I know is that a grieving mother like Samaria Rice has every right to be skeptical and hurt and suspicious and cynical. First of all, there's too many ands in that, but whatever. She wasn't born that way, but this evil and unrelenting racist country forced her into that corner. It's our job to gracefully and patiently help her find her way out. I don't think that she needs you mansplaining her grief, Sean King. Like, I think she's got it. And whatever her gripe is with Black Lives Matter and how the money is being made, she's allowed to say that. And she also was just kind of like, Tamika Mallory, she used to work with Women's March, and then she started working with Until Freedom and kind of like an offshoot of Black Lives Matter. And she was like, how did you go from working for women to now all of a sudden you're all into Black Lives Matter? That just seems kind of weird, but it's just a lot. Twitter has been really going in on Sean King about this because
about this, or just like any time that he opens his mouth about anything at this point, because at this point, like he is kind of like, there's been some accounting errors that have been floating around old Sean King for a long time. He may or may not be a grifter. He's a face and has a platform for it, but there's been a lot of questionable like handling of money that he's associated with, and somebody who is that loud and that vocal for these causes to have also like drawn this much heat for when it, for as far as like just not great, like it obscures the actual conversations that should be had, and it draws attention away from the actual core of the conversation that should be had. As far as the moms are concerned, I can't really attest to whatever is going on in their plight, and I am empathetic to their plight. If there is some money issues happening, I think it needs to be made right. I personally think it needs to be made right in private, but like that's
I mean, unfortunately, at this point, we can't, like, people's only recourse is to go to social media, because you could be talking to someone over and over and over again, but if they're not listening, what are you going to do?
That's fair.
But what you just said about the money just reminded me that you can send personal donations to Tamir Rice's mother and Richard Risher's mother. Cash App is the $sign Samaria Rice, SAMARIA Rice, and Lisa Lee 693. So I will put those in the show notes so that you have them, because it's important.
I totally agree with you.
I think that regardless of whether or not these mothers know or under whatever their recollection of what's happening is kind of a moot point to me. I just feel like they need to be taken care of. All of these women need to be, and families need to be taken care of,
right? Because
at the end of the day, their family member was unjustly taken from them. So I just hope that it's able to be resolved in an amicable way. I think that Black Lives Matter is going to have to reconcile, the issues that people have with their lack of kind of a structure of like, where's the money going? Where is it coming from? What are you doing with it? And it's not, and I'm not saying that in the sense of, oh, they're doing something wrong. It's just when you have that much money and you don't have a real structure because it just kind of started out of nowhere.
Right.
It's easy for things to get funneled to the wrong places. They had that freaking BriannaCon, which was kind of weird for me.
BriannaCon.
Yeah, Tamika Mallory and a few other activists created this like BriannaCon, and I believe that Brianna's mother was for it because she's like, it was supposed to be helping get justice or like getting Brianna's name out there. So it was like, okay, this is what's happening with my daughter. We're gonna have all these celebrities and activists and all these people come, and it was basically like a con. Like they had barbecues, they had like events and speakers and engagements. Like it was a whole thing, and a lot of people were like, "That's weird," because even when you have this
a convention,
whole convention. I'm sorry.
No. Yes. I was thinking like con isn't like swindle. Like we're already talking about like malfeasance or anything like that. It took me like a minute to get two and two together.
No, it was just like a conference, convention.
Okay.
And people just found it weird. It was kind of interesting, to have that. And then with all this, like her name was used for everything, but she never has gotten justice to this day. It's been a whole year.
Yeah.
So, that's just upsetting. And now this is, unfortunately, I don't have good news to end with.
Like anybody, honestly, like before we even get off of that, just the last thing I'll say is like nobody is above accountability. Yeah. Everybody should be accountable and should be held accountable. So, that's all I'll say on that.
You're exactly right. So some sad news and another day in America where white supremacy just likes to drain the joy out of our lives. 8 people were killed at 3 massage parlors and businesses in Atlanta and the nearby Cherokee County on Tuesday. And the suspect, and I won't say his name because he doesn't need any more notoriety.
F him.
He has been charged with 8 counts of murder and 1 count of aggravated assault. And just so you know, 6 of the victims were of Asian descent. They were Korean and Chinese, and 2 were white. And it's just very unfortunate. Of course, like Asian American racism and violence is not new in this country, like at all. There's literally no time in American history where any black, brown, yellow, any person, indigenous, has been in this country and has not been treated poorly by the white supremacist society that we're living in.
And of course, a lot of it picked up over in the last year due to COVID.
Exactly.
After being labeled the Chinese flu, and based on the location of where COVID came from and everything like that, and all this paranoia.
That officials, presidents were calling it the Chinese flu. And like honestly, I'm not surprised that this happened. I remember kind of right after we went into lockdown, this was maybe about April, one of my young friends at my old job, a young Filipino girl, she 19 years old, and she was on the train and someone punched her. And it was just like, it was that moment where I'd been hearing about some things, but it was just even more jarring because it's not like we don't know that racism exists. It's not that we don't know that people will attack someone for that, but just having it hit so close to home, it's just like, it just had me so worried. And it's like, I feel like you're already worried as a black person in this country. You're already worried about racial violence.
Yes.
And so then when you start seeing it escalate even more to other people around you, it's like, wow, things are getting really crazy, because it doesn't seem like it's like tampering down at all. And so this shooting has just really been such a terrible situation, and my heart goes out to everyone in the Asian American community and the Asian community at large, because I feel like as Black people, we know acutely how it feels. The Charleston shooting was not that long ago, and it's just terrible that you can't be at your place of business and the man actually came to some of those spas. He used them. And, what really bothered me was the sheriff who was over this was talking about, he just had a bad day. Like, you don't have a bad day and shoot people.
Yeah, that's not how that works. And also, that's not, and I'm not trying to make light of this or anything like that because it's terrible. But that dude who said, like, "Oh, it's just a bad day," that's not in any of the lyrics from that one song from James Blake or anything like, "Oh, you had a bad day, and then you get a gun, and then you go shoot." No, that's not in the song whatsoever. So I don't buy that bad day line. I don't buy that bad day as an excuse. That's just another way of like obscuring the obvious white supremacist angle. Like, so sorry.
I mean, the white supremacist angle, but also the, fetishization and hypersexualization that women of color constantly face. And when we say this is an issue, when you have a movie and the Asian woman is always like this kind of like docile but hypersexed woman who's like doing anything, or it's like you could do anything to her, those things, even if people may say it's just a movie, some people take those things to heart. There are plenty of people who have never met a black person before in their whole entire life. If you only show them stereotypical one-sided views, they're going to treat you like that. I've been in Europe where men are coming up to me and asking me lewd things, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's what black women do," and they don't know, they've never met a black person before in their life, and so they're just thinking that's okay. And so it's like in the news, they're having these hyper, like they keep saying, "Oh, they're not." This is nothing about whether they are sex workers or not. If they are, that's fine. Sex workers work. But the way that the news has been framing it, it's like, "Oh, he had a sex addiction, and so he's going there, and he just couldn't handle himself. So he has a sex addiction, and these women are somehow." And now, let me just tell you some of the ages of these women who died. And I've been practicing their names, so I really hope I don't get them wrong. Soon Chung Park was 74. Yoon Jung Grant, also Kim, her family has her maiden name on their GoFundMe, was 51. Soon Cha Kim was 69, and Young AU was 63. Now, not saying that older women cannot be sexy or anything like that, but this is not some, he's 21 years old. He didn't go to some young women's like day spa or something where it's like, "Oh, we're selling sex." It was older women doing massages and spa stuff, and you going there did not make you feel so overly sexed and so angry about yourself that you had to then shoot them. You shot them because they were Asian women, and you were targeting them, and you were taking out your white racist fetish whatever on these women because you just wanted to do that.
Look, I don't even understand how that got framed in there as like some sort of like sexual addiction or whatever. Look, I have mental illness. I have my own, sort of like issues when it comes to, like the physical, fetishization of sort of like some stuff or every now and then. Nothing has ever led me to take out my anger and frustration on somebody to the point of like murder or death or killing or anything along those lines. So I don't understand that framing. I don't understand why that got lumped in there. But dude, F you. He's been arrested and he's been charged. F him, F him, F him, F him, F him. That's all I have to say. It's still Lent. I can't curse, but F him.
These people really make it difficult for me to keep my abolitionist ways because, like, I don't want him to be back in society. Like, I don't, like, would I say give him the death penalty? Like, I can't say. I would think that, like, him rotting in jail for the rest of his life would be great. Because I feel like him dying just like it cuts it short. But then also, like, I don't think anyone should have control over when someone lives or dies. But I want to dismantle prisons and have other ways of justice, like restorative justice and all that.
Mhm.
But in these situations, I don't know how else I would want someone to be treated
Mhm.
other than you need to be kept out of society, not as like we're canceling you, but you obviously cannot handle being around people. Like you can't, and there's what could we even do to help you get to be in a place where you're not so brainwashed by this white supremacist society. Like his church was talking about him, and it's like, when are we going to have a conversation about evangelical white people who have, since they got to this country, since they came around across Asia, Africa, Australia, everywhere, seeing people as savages, seeing them as sexual, and portraying violence on them
Mhm.
just because what they were doing and how they were behaving was not in the puritanical way they were. So it's like, he says he has a sex addiction. He says it was a sin, and he's trying to do all this stuff, and the sin of all this made him so bad. But
is this specifically what he's saying, or is this the narrative that is being painted around him via the news?
it's like both, because he had like things that he said, like things coming from his church. I think he actually said he does have a sex addiction, and he went to sex rehab, and they were interviewing his family and friends in church. They were like, yeah, he does have a sex addiction. He just came back from rehab. And it's like, but that doesn't mean a thing to me.
Mhm.
Like literally nothing. There are plenty of people who go to rehab for a myriad of reasons
Mhm.
and don't come out and start killing people. You go to rehab because you drank too much. They're not seeing someone with a drink and shooting them.
Right.
So it's just another layer of like not taking accountability
Mhm.
for the fact that white people create these systems
Mhm.
that cause people to then illogically just murder and or harm others
Mhm.
for no reason but for the fact that they felt like it. And then the police and the news will just want to go interviewing him. The Washington Post has an article, what his life was like before he became a shooter. No, who cares? Why does it matter? I want to know about, they have, USA Today has an article about, I believe it was Jung Grant,
Mhm.
and like her family and her sons. I
Mhm.
think she had I believe she had 4 children, and her oldest was 21.
Mhm.
And it's like, I want to know about their families. I don't care about any other person there.
Mhm.
I want to know about the women and the one man that died, lost their life for no reason, but for the fact that they were just surviving and living in this country.
And it's crazy that we can get answers directly from the shooter, because he was taken into custody instead of, the actual person who actually murdered these people. He wasn't like, I don't know, gunned down by the police officers or anything like that. He was actually taken in.
Surprise.
Oh boy, the actual people who are murdering people, they get you got to make sure that you got to de-escalate in order to like grab them, in order to like give them due justice and like in a fair trial and everything like that. But of course, only when they're killing like minorities or anything like that. Of course, never any other
children, people enjoying a film.
Boy, oh boy, yeah. Oh, these lone wolf types. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I that's just me saying I don't have a glass of tea or anything like that. But imagine if I'm politically Kermit the Frog, just sitting back and hey, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
so that's just what I'm over here saying.
Please support the Asian journalists who are covering these stories, and the organizations that are taking donations. We will put those in the show notes, and just be kind to one another, regardless. If you see someone being anti-Asian, like speak up and say something, because at the end of the day, regardless if you're a person of color, you can't just be like, oh, who cares, it's them, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be you next, regardless.
Right.
Solidarity is the only way we're going to dismantle white supremacy.
Solidarity to the Asian American and indigenous peoples community. Hashtag stop Asian hate. But just also without the hashtag, stop Asian hate. Period and point blank. That's all I gotta say.
Stop Asian hate, but really stop white supremacy.
Right.
Because then all those things will just fall into place.
Exactly. Boy, oh boy, this has left me like really just kind of depressed and thirsty. You think we should take a quick break?
Yeah, I need a break because this is just really heavy, and I need a little breather.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, we'll take this quick break and we'll be back, and stay tuned.
You're listening to the Black and Snurdy Podcast.
We now return to the Black and Snurdy Podcast.
And we're back.
from outer space.
Now, I wanted to surprise you with something. As you know, this
Okay.
is the part of the show where you and I, because we are advocates, not experts, but we check in with each other through our personal journeys through with mental health. So this is our mental health check-in. Okay, well,
Okay. What
that was 5 seconds.
What was that?
That was what I thought was "I'm Not Okay" by My Chemical Romance, but 5
Okay.
seconds of that.
Okay.
So
I mean, I think
could
so.
you make it out?
I but if you don't know,
I wanted to do it directly into the mixer.
It did work. It worked.
It kind of worked.
It kind of worked.
Here's hoping for for the other song that I'm going to queue up. Here's hoping that works too.
I hope so.
But yeah, so for the mental health check-in, why don't you start us off? Why don't you hit us with how your journey has gone? How you doing?
Well, this week actually my therapist is on her spring equinox vacation. So
that sounds just like you.
Right? So this week and next week she's off. But honestly, I mean, I think that I've been handling this week really well. Nothing too crazy has gone on. And anything that's come up for me, I've been able to, breathe, stretch, shake, and let it go. So
okay,
it's been pretty good.
All right. So the worst May song.
The what?
The worst May song. Breathe, stretch, shake, let it go.
I mean, it was it's a good exercise song.
It's a good bowel movement song. You're absolutely right.
Oh my god!
Is that not what that is? Breathe, stretch, shake, let it go.
Jesus. Oh, gosh. I'm steering the ship away from there. How was your mental health?
You driving a boat?
I am.
All right. I gotta tell you, this week kind of took a toll on me. I have no problem with admitting that I am easily annoyed. It is a
truly, really.
Look, I don't have anger issues. Like a lot of members of my family or of my DNA set. But I am easily annoyed, and more times than not, I'm able to just sort of like, thanks through years of therapy, just sort of like size the things up that's annoying me and just sort of like, hey, this doesn't bother me, right? I will say this week was a bit of a struggle in trying to help out a friend. And no, this is not just a thinly veiled sort of me referring to Ode in this way. One of the few times where that's not the case. But no, and actually trying to help out a friend who's been going through a very rough time. And like, I'm not throwing her under the bus. I just found myself just like kind of feeling a little drained, like for like having to have and again, all of this is, like I don't have to do but so much, you know what I mean? I'm not going out of my way. I'm not like, like sacrificing my happiness or my mood or my mental state in order to like help my friend out or to be there for them or anything like that. It's just more so that like they've been given kind of a raw deal. And so my annoyance is with like the circumstances surrounding that raw deal that they've been given and kind of how they just like, boy, oh boy, not a lot of support systems.
Yeah.
I'm all about thankfully they're in therapy. Thankfully they're, getting some much needed assistance outside of just me, you know what I mean? Which is great. And that's, like I said, I'm an advocate for therapy. I'm an advocate if you need forms of like medication or anything like that. I'm an advocate for that as well. And just talking to somebody, you know what I mean? I'm just hoping in time they'll be good and they'll be straight. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least admit that I was a bit annoyed having to deal with any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's when it's our friends, family, whoever, people we care about, it is frustrating, even if we're still doing it from a place of love, because I too am easily annoyed. So when I have to deal with situations where friends or family or whomever are struggling, sometimes like I'm already dealing with my things. Now I have to take on your things. And it's like not of out of obligation, it's like out of love and wanting to ensure that, the people in your life are good. But I think we also have to remember that we have to take care of ourselves, and not doing really more than we can.
Right.
Because if we're just always pouring out, we're gonna be ended up like just exhausted and frustrated. And there's so many things that are constantly exhausting and frustrating us.
Yeah.
We don't need to add to the plate. And
Yeah.
if we can have, healthy boundaries that come with the assistance of our family, and that's in any way, if it's mental health, if it's financially, like whatever it is, like we have to be able to just have good boundaries and set those up, and like, know when to say no so that we don't end up like spiraling. But I think it's good that you were able to just address your feelings and recognize them and not judge them, and just say like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling a little tuckered out from this,
Yeah.
especially when it's like a situation that didn't have to go as far or like go the way it did. Because I feel like sometimes when my friends would be telling me things and I would be super empathetic and wanting to help, but I'm just like, this did not have to go this way. Like this
Yeah.
could have gone so differently.
Yeah. And like, look, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and I absolutely understand. Hey, a few weeks ago, I was talking about boundaries, and that has not changed. I absolutely have my boundaries in place. I recognize the boundaries that I have placed and not like trying to overstep them, even while helping my friend out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not about to, drop I'm in the position that I am, like, in life, I'm in a position where I can help.
Yeah.
Like, I can't give more of myself and cross my boundaries because I still need to be able to like be in this position to help. If I start crossing boundaries, then like that's taking my eye off like other things that matter to me personally. That's time away from my loved ones. That's time away from like, like the people that I care about, the other people that I care about. That's time away from my passions. That's time away from my job. And like, I need those things in my life in order to have enough of a balance to be able to help in a way that I can like even help at all.
Yeah.
So like I still have my boundaries up. I'm checking in on them like every few days, definitely not every day, but like every few days or so, just to be like, hey, what's going on and everything like that. Just, and also just like as time has gone on, I've real talked it and just like, hey, here are some things that like to keep in mind for moving forward so that this kind of scenario doesn't ever happen again. Or, you know what I mean? Because like,
I'm wishing your friend all of just like a healing journey, and that that they're able to get to a place where they don't need as much help and just like feeling better, because like especially at this time everyone's mental health is so precarious in different ways, and it's like when life continues to happen amidst parallelogram, it just makes things even more difficult. So I'm sending them lots of love and prayers for like healing and just feeling joy and peace in their life, because it's difficult, but I feel like she's very lucky to have you in her corner, because I think that you're, a great resource and can definitely be there to support her in whether it's finding a person to talk to or just being a friend and lending an ear or hug. I think that's great, and we all need that.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, that's all there is for me. Is there anything else for you to wrap up the mental health check-in?
Um, Well, I would say one thing I've been thinking about this week or doing that because I've been like, one thing about ADHD is that sometimes it's really difficult to like get out of bed for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to like a lot of my fellow ADHDers, and they also seem to have this issue, regardless of like what it is. If it's like sometimes I feel extremely exhausted, even if I slept like 8 to 10 hours, like of a full sleep. And sometimes it's just like kind of feeling like unable to move out of the bed. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But my therapist, she was like, well, maybe those times that you're in bed, all this, that you can like journal. And if you have some ideas, if it's like career related or life related, you can just write them down
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't have so much beat up on myself of like, I'm in this bed for X amount of time and I'm not able to get up, and like, I don't know what to do. Like she was suggesting that. So I've been trying to do that. I think I did it like once or twice this week, which I feel like is good. Like I just try to build it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels helpful. So I feel like that's something that people could, maybe if you're having trouble getting out of bed, just keep your notebook near your bed, like on the window or in
Mm-hmm.
a desk or something. You could grab it and journal for yourself some things that you like, set some intentions for your day. And just being grateful, like setting like a gratitude list, because I think that definitely has helped me just be mindful. Like every day when I wake up, I'm like, thank you for being able to breathe and walk and talk. And, before I go to bed, I'm saying the same thing, because it's like being able to make it to your bed at the end of the night is really a blessing. That your family is here at the end of the night is a
Mm-hmm.
blessing. So I just try to be grateful for those things.
That's fantastic. I also advocate exercising. I've been
Yes.
exercising a lot. You're a dope exercise partner. And
Thank you,
then
you
and
too.
on top of that, I've slowly started to like get into exercising by myself, like just getting up
Mhm.
mad early and just doing. I really like bench pressing, and so like I've just been like doing a lot of those, and I'm starting to see results. I'm just over here just trying to be in the best shape for my birthday and just look like a freak and look like just a jacked weird man. But yeah, so that's it for
Oh,
me. That's
gosh.
the mental health check-in.
Yay.
But obviously, sandwiched away from the mental health check-in, of
Mhm.
course. Not everything is all sunshine and lollipops, man.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
Odie, I got a question to ask you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Ooh, maybe it's actually really good that the sound quality of this is not great. Because maybe we won't get sued because of how underwater this sounds. What has what was that?
Smooth transition.
Oh my goodness. Has anything this week been grind? What's grinding you? You know what I mean?
Well,
Grinding.
I will tell you, a lot of things actually been bugging me this week. Like we mentioned,
That's better now. Sorry. Me playing around with it. My apologies. Is this me interrupting you?
Yes.
To do
It is grinding
audio?
my gears. Yes, it is.
Okay.
But
bad.
no, seriously. So some things this week, unfortunately, I've been seeing a lot of, anti. Not well. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say a lot. But I have been seeing. I've had to unfollow some people on my socials because they're like Black people who are saying like anti-Asian things. And I feel like with the Black community, it is sometimes a bit confusing, or not confusing, but it's sometimes a bit difficult because, we do experience anti-Blackness from, a wide range.
Mm-hmm.
And so some people have been conflating those stories with like, well, why should I care? But it's like, we got to care because these are people. And regardless of what one person from a community did. That's not everybody. And there are so many ways that you could look through history and see the solidarity of Asians and Black people and brown people and all these, like all of us banding together to like dismantle white supremacy. And we got to really like focus on that and not on the, and not to use the stupid terminology of bad apples, but like not focusing on those small situations when there are others that are way bigger and not, that have done us much better.
Right.
So that's been annoying, but something else that was really frustrating me, and it was just kind of, it was so bad that it was comical, but this Bulgarian, there's a European, I think, yeah, she's a Bulgarian artist, makeup artist, has gotten this huge backlash because this European singing competition called Kato Abe Kankamboa. Now, this is a Bulgarian show, and I'm sure I pronounced that terribly.
Right.
But
I feel like considering the story in and of itself, it's like,
it's like whatever.
You want to do your due diligence for this BS that's coming.
But this person who's on the show was given, her name is Mixela Marianova, was given the task of imitating Nosembo Zikode, who's I believe she's a South African singing artist, Black woman. She was singing her hit song Jerusalema with Master KG. Now, to give you an idea, Marianova looks like Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
But when you see her in this Instagram video, she literally is like showing her transformation from Nosembo to back to herself. And she has a prosthetic black face with a whole janky ass wig. It's just the blackest face that it's the blackest black face I've ever seen.
Right. If you have ever watched any sort of like movie with like Klingons and stuff where they have to spend 19 hours in wardrobe in order to put that stuff all over the face, in order to do 30 minutes of acting in a scene, and then they have to like then spend the next 2 hours peeling it off of their skin. That's what this video looked like, but it's actual blackface. Like it's an
and not even as good as a Klingon.
And it really didn't. It did not.
Worf looked dope as fuck.
She looked like a Tex Avery style white woman trying to be a lighter skinned tanned woman.
But just everything about it was terrible. The hair was terrible. The lips were terrible. And then they painted her actual skin dark brown. It just was really, really bad. And regardless of if you're in another country or not, Europeans, I think that Europeans really get off on the whole racism shtick.
Yeah.
Because everyone's super focused on America when Europe is very racist. The colonizing started there. Like and not even United Kingdom. Go look up
Black Peter.
Black Peter, what the Belgians did, what the Europeans are not like not involved in racism. And so regardless of where you are, there's no way that you would not know, especially in the age of the internet, that blackface is not good. And the fact that they would do all of this and not even think it was wrong, they posted it up on their social media site.
Yeah.
Like the singing competition. It was like, cool, let's look at this white woman literally wearing me as a costume. Like,
just because you only have 7 black people in like a 100,000 kilometer, or what is it? Kilometers? Do they use?
I think they use kilometers.
But yeah, kilometer radius in your like vicinity or anything like that doesn't mean that you get to plead the fifth when it comes to like not knowing if something is mad racist or whatever. Especially any country that has any sort of history with ethnic cleansing. So like maybe, hey guys, you're on notice. Enough of this. Oh, we don't understand. I don't understand. But with the I'm not doing these accents.
Yeah, please. But anyway, that was grinding my gears because it was just like, we already have so much racialized foolishness happening. Just to see this bullshit, it's like, it's not something where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna weep at night because these white people are doing something stupid. It's just like, are you dumb? Like in my Remy Ma voice, like what is
stupid or dumb?
Are you dumb? Like really? I'm confused. But that was it. That was what was grinding my gears this week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. As for me, I only have one thing. All right. So, and I'm gonna do my best not to specifically say any names or anything like that.
Okay.
I have a cousin. You know, he's a good guy, but he's my cousin. You know, he's family. You know, what can you say? You know, maybe like some time ago, he was like, "Hey, like, because I had a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I've been big into Dungeons and Dragons and role playing for years at this point. It's fun. Dungeons and Dragons is a role playing game. I have this campaign that I've been playing for years with my friends, my like comedy friends, back when we were performing like more, like normally and whatnot. And then after the past year, we've kind of like drifted away from it, but now we're getting back into it. Over like maybe like several months ago, like maybe I would say like even last year at some point, my cousin had expressed interest of like, hey, like that seems cool. Like next time you have a campaign, like you can invite me. And I'm like, sure, I'll think about it. Fast forward several months recently, we just got the campaign back up and running. It's great to hang out with my friends. I haven't seen them and hung out with them in a really, really long time since the Pajama Jammy Jam started. And it's just really, really good to see them, right? I mentioned this at my most recent family game night, this family game night that has been happening for almost a year now, since last summer, consistently. And I brought that up and he was like, hey, like what happened to the invite? I said I had expressed interest. And all I'll say is this: I haven't had a chance to really spend time with my friends since lockdown. I haven't had a chance to play D&D. It's a thing that I've wanted to do for a while and play and stuff. And most importantly, it's a thing for me. I don't have a lot of things that are just for me. So to my particular cousin, I think I've shared enough. And I'm just going to leave it at that. If you know, you know. If you understand what that sentence is already implying and the other layers involved with that, I've shared enough with you, quite frankly. This is for me. Dungeons and Dragons, you go find your own game, okay? Find your own game, get the player's handbook, get a PDF, you can download it online. But I've shared enough, quite frankly, okay? This is my thing now. My thing with my friends. These Zooms are no longer overlapping in my life anymore, okay? Stuff is over here. This is over here, all right? No more common denominators. You hear me?
I think they heard you.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
I really hope that this reaches them.
I mean,
I won't elaborate any further.
I think that we always need to make sure that, again, boundaries. And that we can say, like, it's, that quote, it's like, don't do something that you're going to resent the person for.
Yeah.
That is very true. Like, I'm not, if this is something I want for me, then I just want it for me. I don't want to have to share it. And that's okay. It's not being selfish. It's like, yeah, I changed my mind. Like, now I no longer want to do that. So I understand. I can understand why that would.
If anything, this is one of the few things where I can actually put that into action. Yeah. Change my mind on something and actually keep it that way. So that's all that was grinding my gear. That's all that was grinding me. Yeah, we're not using that term. But yeah, so that was grinding.
Goodness.
But you know what? Not everything, guys. Not everything has to be all like doom and gloom and negative stuff, you know?
It's true. So
I would like to ask you one last question, Odie. What, if anything, this week has made you happy? Oh my God! Why won't you work? Why? It sounds like it's underwater. I don't get it. Whatever, it's fine. We're just not gonna get sued. It's okay. I don't even care. I don't even care.
Thank you so much for trying. And you know what? You tested it out. You've tried it out, and maybe next week we'll have it even better. All right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, some things that have made me happy this week. I will say all of even though I have seen and had to block some people in regards to being anti-Asian, I have seen way more people that have either people I know or people on my timeline, Black people specifically, who have been like super in solidarity and sharing just like information for people to understand like why they're in solidarity and like just really rallying around this community. And I think that's really beautiful because I think we always need more of that. If we're going to dismantle white supremacy, we have to be able to do it together. And really all the problems that we might have in these different communities and the problem of anti-Blackness is due to white supremacy. So if we just tackle that, everything else that's like a negative will be able to come tumbling down. So that made me happy. And then also I think that like having like better weather for the most part like has been making me happy. Oh, and well, actually this week was actually kind of crappy weather.
Yeah, I was about to say it snowed on Tuesday.
It got snow. It was just really cold.
It did actually snow on Tuesday.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah, I was outside waiting for my friend to come, and it was snowing.
Oh, I didn't see that. But I got my flight to go to Sacramento. So I'm going to visit one of my besties out there. So that really made me happy that I could do that.
Nice.
So what about you?
Honestly, the only thing that's making me happy is seeing results on my physique. I've been exercising. It's been a few weeks now since been sort of doing the sort of like workout. Combine that with the sort of healthier eating that I'm doing from cooking using my air fryer.
That air fryer life.
Yes, air fryer life.
Gang, gang, gang.
Air fryer gang.
Write your best recipe.
Getting jumped in, cooking cooking fish.
All right.
But no, I don't like it. Just I feel really good. Like just looking in the mirror. Like, look, it's not like I have body dysmorphia or anything like that. But I definitely have been looking in the mirror a little bit and just being like, yay, like I look handsome. Handsome. I look like I'm seeing the results, especially around my arms and around my pectorals. It feels good, and it honestly does feel good to just like
Pectorals,
just
such a funny word.
Yeah, to just look at myself and like, hey, I think I'm giving myself a boner. So like that's honestly, I looked at myself and I popped a beat, and it felt good that it was me.
I'm glad because you know what, we all need to love ourselves.
Yes,
and in this Pangea, I think that sometimes our bodies have been changing in ways we don't really love. And I feel like I've been trying to show gratitude to my body that, as much as maybe I'm not loving quarantine 15, but at the very least, I'm grateful that I could buy food that would cause me to gain weight because a lot of people don't. But also grateful to have a home where I could work out inside here and like be able to then lose weight because that was it. I did lose some weight this week.
Hey!
I released.
Oh snap! I also lost weight.
I didn't lose weight. I released some pounds because when you lose something, you can get it back. I didn't want to lose it. I released it. It's gone. But I'm not. I'm not working out for weight necessarily. It's more so like health. Like when I want my body to feel better, and it's been feeling very sluggish and all that. So I'm just I'm grateful for health and just like feeling good about myself.
Yeah, feeling good, feeling great, feeling great, feeling good. How are you? It's almost as if that should be the song that'll get muffled and sound like it's under the water. But I'm glad that made you happy this week. I am glad I was able to be happy this week. And as always, I am definitely happy when I'm recording with you. So
I'm always happy when I'm recording with you too.
Yeah, and on that note, I think that's everything. To everybody out there, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for having us in your earwaves and ear holes. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us some nice comments. You could find me at Licorice is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit on all of the things. And also our email address, I know right now, is the Black and Snurdy podcast at gmail.com. And we're Black and Snurdy podcast everywhere on all the social media stuff.
Awesome. Well, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as That's OD. And on Instagram, it's That's OD. It's like OD_E. And on OD_E. And I think on Twitter, it's OD_E. That might be switched. But either way, you can find me. Just look it up and it'll come up.
All right. With that being said, thank y'all. And we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnurdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snurdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snurdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorice is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's That's OD, THATSOD.E. And on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Snurdy podcast, where nerds of a feather flock together.
Remember?
Bye.
Boy.
Not yet.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.